This mountain bike is absolutely dripping in all the latest technology from SRAM. We've got wireless gears, a wireless dropper post, we've got Bluetooth tyre pressure sensors and much more besides. And in this video, I'll do a quick bike check, go through all the details on the bike, and in my next video, we'll go for a first ride. So it really is an amazing showcase for all the latest technology available to mountain bikers today, if you can afford it. And if you're a roadie watching this and thinking this doesn't apply to you, well, think again. The last 5 or 10 years or so, we've seen a real influx of technology from mountain bikes into the road bike market. And the latest road bikes these days, especially gravel bikes, really owe a lot to mountain bikes. With tubeless tyres, wide tyres and wide rims, wide range gears, one by, disc brakes, geometry, and even in some cases, suspension. So a lot of technology to get into, but before I do, a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, DeckShell, a manufacturer of a wide range of waterproof hats, gloves, and socks. Everything to keep you warm and dry when you're riding your bikes through the winter, when it's raining and it's cold. So check out their website in the link down below. With all that said, let's dive in. We'll start with the gears, and we have SRAM's range-topping Eagle XXI AXS setup. So wireless shifting, as was first debuted on the road bike market with ETAP about 5 years ago or so, and then brought over to mountain bike with their one by. Now SRAM have really pioneered and owned the one by market in the mountain bike world, and we've seen that being brought over to gravel bikes and road bikes. And an update to this group set is a new cassette. So when it first launched, it had a 1050 cassette, which at the time, I remember, was quite an eye-opening cassette, really turned a few heads. We now have a 1052 offering a 520% range, up 20% on that previous cassette. So even more capacity to get up really steep climbs. So a huge cassette, really expensive, but super lightweight, made from one piece of aluminium. We've got a huge rear mech with a battery on the back and a clutch mechanism inside to stop the chain rattling over rough ground and prevent the chain falling off the carbon fibre crankset on this bike. The rear mech will automatically adjust for trim and index as well, which is really neat. So no more fiddling with the barrel adjuster knob to get the gears working sweetly. It'll do it all for you. And there's an LED light on the back to let you know what the battery level is like. But you need to check it from a smartphone app as well. And the battery comes off so easily. You can have a spare one, not a problem at all. So it's wireless shifting, and they've developed a really neat rocker style remote lever on the handlebar. It feels really intuitive. Push up to go up or down to go down, and you can customize it through the company's own smartphone app as well. So that's another level of customization you don't get with mechanical group sets, and that really is a big benefit of the AXS ecosystem. That leads us nicely onto the brand new Reverb AXS dropper post, which, as you can guess, there's no hose attaching it to the remote lever. So much easier to build a bike, no fiddly hose routing inside the frame, totally wireless. And like the rear shifting, we have a neat rocker style remote lever on the handlebar. So we have a wireless dropper post and wireless gears. All we need now are wireless brakes, but we're probably a few decades away from that happening, if it ever happens. But for now, we've got SRAM's G2 hydraulic disc brakes with a 180 rotor on the back and a 200 on the front for maximum stopping power. The other benefit of this wireless system is you can sync it to the company's own smartphone app, where you can do many things like check the battery life, which is very useful, update the firmware, and also customize how everything works. So you can flip the shifting if you want, add other components as well into the ecosystem, but there's no need to use the smartphone app at all. You can just bolt the components on, sync them together, and away you go. So the smartphone app is there if you want it to unleash more potential, but you don't have to use it. Moving on to wheels, and we've got a brand new Zipp 3.0 Moto carbon fibre wheels, which, as you can see, have a profile unlike any other mountain bike wheel. And that's because the company has moved away from the traditional box section or D-shaped rim profile that is prevalent in the mountain bike world to a flatter, low profile, single wall profile inspired apparently by motocross wheels. And the idea is to give all the benefits of a carbon wheel, so low weight and at high stiffness, but also give more compliance. And they've tuned the carbon fibre layup along the spoke bed to actually allow the carbon to deform under big impacts to lead to a smoother ride on rough ground when you're impacting on roots and rocks, and also give more control and more traction. So a fascinating design brief, and I can't wait to try them out. They sure look different to anything else, and if their claims are to be believed, and they do deliver on their claims, it should be quite a performance advantage over a normal stiff box section carbon rim or an aluminium rim. So that's an interesting one. They do come with a lifetime warranty, like all Zipp wheels as well. So if you crash them or bend them, there's that peace of mind that you get them replaced as well. So no issues there. You can customize the graphics as well, which is a nice touch. And then you might spot them. We have Tyrewiz. So Tyrewiz was a small company that SRAM bought a few years ago. And basically, like in your car, you have live pressure sensors to let you know if a tyre is deflating or too low. We have a tyre pressure sensor integrated into the rim. You can buy these on their own, but they come with these wheels as well. It's a nice perk when you're buying a top-end carbon fibre wheel set. Having a tyre pressure sensor on a bicycle might seem overkill, but all cars have tyre pressure sensors, so why not have it on a bicycle? And this, of course, is a showcase of the latest technology, and you can sure bet this technology will trickle down to a lower price point. Imagine all bicycles having tyre sensors integrated into the rims, so you're more easy check on the tyre pressure without having to get the pump out. That seems like a pretty cool future to me. So they work in two ways. You have an LED on the front, which you can set in the smartphone app and have an upper and a lower limit. So when the pressure goes below that limit, it will flash on the LED there. So before a ride, you can very easily see if your tyres are at a sweet spot without having to get the pump out and check the tyre pressure manually, which I personally do before every mountain bike ride, because a few PSI can make quite a difference to performance and traction. And then you can open up the smartphone app and you can check the tyre pressure from there as well. So a really cool bit of technology. And if you like technology like I do, then that definitely will appeal to you. Yes, it's expensive, and yes, maybe a little bit overkill, but if you want the best technology and you're prepared to pay for it, why not have a pressure sensor on your tyres? So I can't wait to try this out and see how they work over the next few weeks. So let's move on to the frame and the suspension. And we've got RockShox's latest suspension, a Pike Ultimate on the front and a Super Deluxe Ultimate on the back. And then the frame is from Eagle, a US bike company, and this is their 29er short travel bike called The Following. It was first launched about 5 years ago, and at the time was a genre-defining short travel progressive geometry 29er trail bike. And this is the second generation, so updated, improved frame and modified geometry, but retaining that key essence of that original bike that made it such a hit with cyclists all around the world. So a full carbon frame and swing arm. We've got this unique suspension configuration, which is developed by Dave Weigel, who also developed many suspension systems like the DW Link. And this is his Delta system, using very short, compact, very stiff linkages to tune the suspension path and get the performance characteristics they want from this bike. So the rear shock is nestled down in the belly of the frame. You can adjust the suspension with a flip chip from slacker to steeper as you want. We've got some neat details on the frame as well. Underbelly protection on the down tube and the chain stays. We've got internal cable routing everywhere. Got a really beefy head tube, and it's quite angular design language that I kind of like. Low slung top tube, short seat tube, just about space for a butter cage, but it looks a bit tight. And then we have some interesting details. Some are good, some maybe a bit too out there. So we have a threaded bottom bracket, so yeah, big thumbs up. But then out back, we have a really wide 157mm rear axle. Now, most road bikes have a 142mm rear axle. Most mountain bikes have a 148 boost rear axle, but this has moved to the Super Boost, it's called 157. So much wider rear end requires a new wheel. This wheel set is compatible, of course, as you can see. And the benefits, according to Eagle, for going to the wider rear axle, is it allows them to keep the chainstay short, so 430mm, whilst boosting the tyre clearance. But it's also allowed them to revise the pivot hardware to increase the width and the size of all the bearings and the pivots to increase the stiffness of the frame. So some interesting benefits to go into that 157 Super Boost at the back, but is it a step too far? And I think it's fair to say that many roadies and mountain bikers alike have lost their patience with the increasing number of standards in the industry for the last 10 or 15 years. So whether that is a step too far remains to be seen, but for a company trying to push their bike as much as it can, it seems a natural step. But I'll leave that for you in the comment section below. So that's the main details. We're talking about geometry. This is a size medium, and we've got a 460mm reach. The head angle with a 130 fork is 67, but you can adjust it with the flip chip on the rear linkage, and a 77-degree seat angle, so nice and steep. Quite a short seat tube as well, so you can run a longer drop post. So the numbers all look on point for a short travel 29er trail bike, designed to be good going up and going down, and should be an interesting comparison to that YT ISO I rode recently, the Transition Spur, which I haven't ridden yet, and also that Marin Rift Zone, which I did ride, link above if you missed that. So some really interesting and exciting short travel 29 trail bikes in this category with good, sensible geometry numbers, efficient, well-controlled suspension, but all the capability to have fun on the descent. And I think personally, this category of a short travel 29er is probably my most favourite style of mountain bike at the moment. You've got that cross-country race bike sort of speed for going up and efficient suspension for climbing and pedalling across flat terrain. But then when you get to fun bits, the descent, you have the suspension and the geometry capability to make sure you have a lot of fun. So a good bike everywhere, not a slog going up and not too fiddly going down. So for me, the perfect balance, and I can't wait to see how the bike performs on my local trails. But there will be a first ride and review coming up very soon. So that's a really quick bike check on this Evil the Following 29er with all the latest goodies from SRAM, RockShox and Zipp. Now, when it comes to price, it's a little bit tricky here because this bike was sent to me by SRAM to allow me to test the latest components, the RockShox and the Eagle XXS, the wheels and so on. So it's not a complete bike you can buy, but I know Evil do provide similar spec bikes, but we do have a few extras on the bike which will boost the price up quite a bit higher. But the purpose of this bike and the reason I've got it in for review, to ride and to share with you, is not really to talk about price and value for money. It's really as a showcase for the latest mountain bike technology, to talk about technology and whether it offers a performance benefit over other technology and how it all works, and does it translate to a better, more enjoyable ride out on the trails, because ultimately that's what it's all about. For me, it's about having fun on the trails, having fun in the woods, and does this technology allow me to have more fun, make me a better rider? Does it enhance my riding skill, what riding skill I have? And all the questions I'll try and answer in a first ride in a few weeks' time once I've had a couple of rides on the bike, got some nice GoPro footage of it in action. So make sure you check back on my channel if you want to see that. Anyway, I'm starting to waffle, so I'll leave it there. Don't forget to check out Deck Shell down below for the hats, gloves, socks, everything to keep you warm and dry this winter. Maybe hit that like button if you enjoyed watching this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to see other bike reviews, check out that link up there. Anyway, I'm off for a spin. I'll see you all again in the next video. Thank you for watching.